politics now. We're less than 2 weeks away from the primary elections to replace outgoing Wisconsin Democratic Governor Tony Evers. Last night, the candidates competing for the Democratic nomination squared off on the debate stage. They were asked about the deadly shooting of a black man by a Madison police officer last week. All agreed that law enforcement should not be defunded.
The governor cannot defund police, and I'm not here to govern by slogan.
I would not sign a budget that reduced funding because obviously that police department needs the funding to have body cameras.
I want my kids and every kid to be safe in our communities, and I want law enforcement officers to be safe in our communities.
There's been a generation of disinvestment and a broken system between the state, the broken partnership between state and local government. And so we need to make sure that we're robustly funding that.
We cannot defund the police. We should be investing in public safety, and that doesn't mean more money to police officers. That's like investing in systems like the community violence interruption.
The winner of the Democratic primary for Wisconsin governor will face off against presumptive Republican nominee Congressman Tom Tiffany in November. CBS News congressional reporter Taurean Small is joining us now to talk more about this. So this race is getting a lot of national attention, Taurean. Why is that?
Well, I think it's because we see in this race Francesca Hung, who's, now surging in this race, who associated herself with the Democratic Socialist agenda, although she did make it clear that she was not necessarily connected to the national branch. She doesn't necessarily believe in what they believe in. It is notable because Wisconsin is that purple swing state. In this crowded field, the most recent Marquette University polling has her at about 26%. That's pretty significant. Mandela Barnes, the former lieutenant governor, is right behind her at 15%. The rest of the race largely within those single digits. So I think that's why this is garnering national attention. I also got to point out, though, that Wisconsin is pretty unique in a sense that since 2011, they experienced quite a bit of gerrymandering that gave Republicans pretty significant majority in the state legislature. So even if a Democrat were to succeed Tony Evers, the current governor, come November, they would still have an uphill battle in getting their agenda across the finish line, considering they're facing quite a bit of odds with their state lawmakers.
Wisconsin is always so purple, and you really see both parties have to battle it out in Wisconsin. Taurean, we mentioned earlier when we saw that debate stage that all of these candidates agree that they don't want to defund the police. What are other issues that they do not agree on?
Yeah, I mean, to get into the weeds, there's a tax relief proposal that was on the up for consideration, considering Wisconsin ran a surplus for a couple of years now. That was something that was a bipartisan deal that was brokered by Governor Evers with the state legislature. That ultimately failed, though, and the candidates were asked what they would have done with that if they would have supported it. The vast majority of them said they would not have supported it because they didn't think it went to the correct avenues. But there were some variances and disagreements on that. The other one was a millionaire tax, so taxing people who make more a bit higher than the normal tax rate. Lieutenant Governor Barnes and Hung came out and said that they would range between 0.8% and 1% for a millionaire tax here. But ultimately, though, they got to pivot. Come November, they need to make that case to the vast majority of voters, not just Democrats. So this is why we're seeing tightening up of messaging here at the debate stage.
Really interesting. All right, Taurean Small. Thank you, Taurean.